Well, good afternoon, folks. Welcome back to the farm. You caught us today in the workshop again. We are working on ChickenTractor number 2. Well, it's actually 3 because we already have one from last year, but we decided we're going to get more meat chickens this year, so we needed 2 new ChickenTractors. I built one the other day, and you know what? It was a total reinvention of the ChickenTractor, and we thought all the stuff that we didn't like about the previous ChickenTractor or about other ChickenTractor designs, and we poured all that knowledge into ChickenTractor number 2. Now with number 3, because number 2 doesn't necessarily mean it's perfect. Just because we took everything we didn't like and tried to work it out doesn't mean it wasn't fantastic. So the lessons we're learning with number 3 is ease of design, ease of build. And so I built it 24 inches high. I thought that was, 8 by 10, 24 inches high. I thought that was pretty slick. But some of the materials that we have, like some of the tin that we have for around the sides and on the roof, is actually 26 inches. So do I really want to, cut 8 feet of tin, just 2 inches off the bottom? Or since I'm already making a cut on the 2x4, do I want to make that 2x4 just 2 inches taller and not have to worry about it? Now, of course, none of this is my idea. My wife, she's a very smart cookie, let me tell you. She come in here, she's like, why didn't you do this? And of course, I've already got it half built and I had to make up some BS excuse about, justifying it. But the reality is she's right. Absolutely, she's right. If you can think about all of the materials in a holistic sense and about making it so much easier. Sorry if there's background noise, by the way. We've got the washing machine running in the back corner of the shop over here. We were running the wood stove the other day, this little wood stove that we're gonna put in the greenhouse. And of course, you come out of it afterwards smelling like a burnt hot dog. So I was like, you know what? It's time to wash my chore coat. So that's what's in the washing machine. Obviously on the spin cycle right now, getting quite carried away. The other piece of wisdom she gave me is that I should make all my cuts, get all my pieces ready before we do assembly. So because that was a total redesign, I was kind of piecing it together as I go because I had an idea up here, but I hadn't actually done it yet. I wasn't working off a plan or a blueprint like that. It was literally just whatever was in my noggin. And I, in order for me to just process it, I needed to make a cut, screw it to something else, and then make a cut, screw it to something else. But now that we've done this, as you can see, I've got the sidewalls, they're all pieced together, pre-cut. I've got the pony sections cut and cragged, ready to go. So this thing is gonna go together super fast. The 2 sidewalls are done. I'm gonna go ahead and pull my laundry out of the washing machine. And then we're gonna get to building the end walls, and then we'll do the peak of the roof. We'll slap some tin on. Bob will be your uncle. Well, maybe he'll be your mother's brother. I guess we'll see. Are built and our sidewalls are built, it's time to put this puppy together. So I got a little chunk of 1x4 here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck that underneath this wall to get it up that 1 inch, because if you remember from the video the other day, I made the end wall 1 inch shorter than the sidewall. Reason being that sidewall is going to act like skis essentially, and this being an inch off the ground is going to reduce the surface friction, so as it goes along it's not getting hung up on clods of dirt or lumps of grass or chickens or whatever gets in the way. And we can skid this along nice and easily. The one thing with ChickenTractors is they're not the easiest thing to move, and that's one thing we definitely learned last year with our big giant, it's a 10 by 14 ChickenTractor. It's quite large, quite cumbersome, so we wanted to kind of make this a lot lighter, a lot easier to move along the ground, but without having to use wheels. are up, the roof ribs are up. All that's left to do is to cut 3 sections that are gonna go the full length from one end to the other to add, you know, the center peaks, add some support there. And at this point, what's gonna happen, like this will be at the point that if you wanna reproduce this, but maybe wanna take a different path with a few things, because we're gonna use tin. Our original plan was to use a tarp. But I mean, once we're here, you could do whatever you want. You could use plexiglass, turn this thing into a greenhouse. You could use hardware cloth and make it a rabbit hutch. You could do pretty much anything you want with this at this point. You could flip it upside, put a plywood on it, flip it upside down, turn it into a boat, whatever you want to do. But I'm gonna go get one more 2x4 from the wood pile, and then we're gonna close up that gap. And while I'm out there, I better check on the sheep. We had our very first lamb of 2021 yesterday. Little baby Annabelle came out of one of the 5 original ewes that we had, came out of Mavis. So we're really, really excited about that. Not the ewe we thought was gonna lamb. So while I'm out there, I'm gonna check on the girls, see if we got anybody else. So I've been out, I've checked all the ewes. Looks like nobody's having a lamb here right away, but I guess we'll see at midnight and again at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not gonna get the ChickenTractor finished today because, well, as you remember from the other day, I need chicken wire. So we ran out of 1-inch chicken wire, so I'm gonna see if I can pick some up here in the next day or 2, and we'll get that wraparound done. And then we'll throw the rest of the tin on. It's just so much easier to just put the wire on first and then the tin as opposed to the opposite way around. The question did come up earlier today though. What's the difference between running your chickens in a ChickenTractor and free ranging them? And well, okay, so if they're in the ChickenTractor, technically they're not free range. Now, by some people's definition, free range can mean they have access to the outdoors. So that could technically be classed as free range. Our definition, free range is free range. Like they can literally go wherever they want. But yeah, so commercial meat birds, they are required to have 2 square feet of space. So that's not very much, right? It's 15 inches by 15 inches. It's not a lot of room. What we're saying is that no, we're gonna give them 4 square feet of space, plus they get to access the whole thing. You know, they get the whole range of the whole ChickenTractor for 24 hours. Now, what happens after 24 hours? Well, we pick up, we move the Hotel California down the line. They get a set of clean sheets onto fresh grass every 24 hours. Now, when they get up past that 6-week mark, now they get fresh grass every 12 hours. So we're constantly on fresh grass. Gives them nice clean ground. It gives them nice grass to graze. And it is a lot nicer, certainly, than being in a commercial, well, in a cage. Let's just say in a 15-inch by 15-inch cage. Not a good time for anybody. So why are these things so important? Well, if you know us personally, you know this really isn't about profit. You know what? This is ultimately about food security. And you might think, well, food security, like why don't you just go down to the grocery store and just get a chicken? It's be way cheaper, way less work. Well, yeah, no, that's not actually a fact. That's more of a temporary truth. You know, you might be able to go down there right now and get it. But 6 months from now, I'm not entirely sure that's really going to be the case. Alberta today entered what might be the 4th lockdown. Although they don't call it a lockdown, they call it enhanced restrictions. But the reality is that, you know, everything's having to shut down. Our economy continues to spiral. And eventually something significant to our way of life is going to have to give. And at the end of the day, I want to be able to say, you know what, regardless of what happens, our family isn't going to go hungry. Anyways, that's as prophetic as I want to be for one day. So I'm going to let you go and I'm going to go make myself a cup of tea. So I hope you have a fantastic evening. We'll see you tomorrow.